Imagine you are walking across a harsh, barren landscape under the blistering sun. There are no maps, no signposts, no clocks on your wrist. When you look at a prehistoric campfire reconstructed in a museum or a history book, you see a group of early humans sitting together sharing a large meal. The meat is carved, the tubers are roasting in the embers, and everyone is gathered around. It looks like the big meal of the day, and it's easy to assume that this was the ritual hunt all day, starve until dark, and then eat everything at once. But what if you are only seeing the meal that survived the test of time? What if the rest of their day, the fruit snatched from a tree, the honey tasted while wandering, the small roots chewed while resting, has simply vanished from history, leaving behind only the cold ashes of the final campfire? To understand how our ancestors ate, we first have to admit that archaeology is a biased storyteller. A campfire leaves behind charcoal and ash. A broken bone might survive for thousands of years. Stone tools tell us where food was processed, but a handful of berries eaten while walking through the forest, a piece of honeycomb consumed miles away from the camp, or a small tuber chewed in the middle of a hot afternoon. Those moments leave almost no trace. The bones tell us what they ate, but they rarely tell us how many times they ate that day. In our modern lives, we are obsessed with the clock. Breakfast at 7, lunch at noon, dinner at 8. But prehistoric humans did not live by the clock. They lived by the landscape. Their eating schedule wasn't decided by a schedule. It was decided by opportunity. A day in the life of a prehistoric forager didn't follow a rigid one-meal-a-day rule, nor did it look like a modern 3-course diet. It was a chaotic, beautiful, and unpredictable rhythm of small snacks and occasional feasts. Imagine your day. You wake up. Maybe there are leftovers from last night, maybe there aren't. Some members of your group head out to forage for tubers, others track small animals, and some look for wild fruits or honey. By midday, someone finds a patch of berries or a beehive. They don't pack it all up and carry it miles back to camp just to wait for the sunset. They are hungry, and the food is right there. They eat. They share a portion with the person standing next to them. They gain the energy to keep searching. This isn't snacking in the modern sense of grabbing junk food. This is the primary intake of energy that keeps them moving. Research on modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Hadza, shows that people often eat significant amounts of food while out foraging long before they ever return to the main camp. So if they ate all day, why do we picture the big evening feast? Because that feast served a purpose far beyond just filling stomachs. It was the social heartbeat of the group. A large animal brought back to camp was too much for one person to hoard, even if they wanted to. It had to be shared. Sharing meat wasn't just generous, it was the original insurance policy. If you share your kill today, the person who succeeds tomorrow shares with you. That evening meal was where roles were assigned, skills were passed down, and the social bonds that held the group together were forged. But here is where the myth of the once-a-day eater gets complicated. We often see people trying to justify modern fasting diets by saying, our ancestors only ate once a day. But passing a day without food because a hunt failed, or because the season changed, is not the same thing as a planned 23-hour fast. For early humans, hunger was often an unpredictable beast. If the trees were empty or the hunt failed, they fasted. But they didn't fast because they were following a health protocol. They fasted because the landscape denied them. And when the abundance finally came, perhaps a large animal was successfully brought down, they ate. They ate well, they ate together, and they ate with the knowledge that the next meal might be a long time coming. It is also a mistake to assume everyone in the group ate on the same schedule. A child with a smaller stomach and higher growth needs cannot wait until sunset to eat. A nursing mother has different energetic demands than a hunter on the move. A group of people sharing a campfire was likely a collection of different eating schedules happening at once. Archaeology is fantastic at preserving the banquet. It is terrible at preserving the snacks. When we look at the remnants of the past, we see the bones, the fire pits, and the stone tools. We see the big dramatic events. We don't see the berries plucked from a bush at 10 in the morning. We don't see the honeycomb eaten in secret. We see the feast, and we mistake it for the entire history of the day. The truth is, our ancestors possessed a flexible biology. They were masters of opportunity. They didn't survive by living according to a rigid timetable. They survived because they could adapt to the feast, they could survive the famine, and they knew how to weave a life out of the random opportunities the landscape provided. The 3 meals a day structure we use today is a cultural solution we built, not a biological command carved into our bones. Perhaps the most important thing our ancestors discovered wasn't a specific time to eat. It was the realization that food found by one individual could become survival for the entire group. The meal wasn't just the moment they consumed energy. It was the moment they decided who else had the right to survive. The next time you hear someone claim that we must eat only once a day, because that's what our ancestors did, remember the past is far more diverse than a single rule. Sometimes the most visible part of our history is just the small portion that happened to survive in the soil, while the rest of the story, the snacks, the wandering, and the small bites along the way, has been swept away by the wind.